co-founder and CEO at GitLab. My name is Sid, and today we're going to talk about the performance indicators that we have on our job families that tell people when they're successful. Let's do a round of introductions of the other people. Michelle, you want to go first?
Thanks, Sid. I am Michelle Hodges. I am the brand new VP of Global Channels, working to build out our channels route to markets.
I'm Emily Sherio. I'm an internal strategy consultant here at GitLab on the Chief of Staff team. And Mike?
Hi, I'm Michael McBride. I'm Chief Revenue Officer here at GitLab.
Cool. And the context for this is we have a new job family for Michelle's job. And we recently made it required to have a header called performance indicator in every job family. And in some of the job families, there's a couple of great performance indicators listed. For example, or for Senior Director of Investor Relations, one of the things that comes to mind is the percentage of investors in GitLab, or the percentage of analysts, like financial analysts, that describe GitLab in the same way that we do, which actually tells you something about whether that person is doing their job correctly. There's also a couple of things that we should do in performance indicators, and we're using this as an example just to teach people how to do performance indicators. Thanks, and that's indeed the VP of IR that Michael is sharing there. The reason is the why behind why are we doing performance indicators? Because as a company grows, you want to know that you're contributing. Like the number one of the most common and best questions an applicant can ask: what does success in the role look like? When am I successful? And of course, the answer in a generalized sense is when the company is successful, when you make the company successful. But how does that look? And as we hired a lot of new people, we're going from 400 to 1,100 people this year, almost tripling in headcount. We want to make sure that everyone understands how they can make the company more successful. And that's what these performance indicators are meant for. There's a couple of ways to not do the performance indicators. First of all, not having the header, but not having anything substantial. That's not good. Saying something very generic, that is a company GitLab KPI, like IACV or something like that. That's too generic. Unless you work in sales, then the IACV you generate is very important. Another thing that we probably should do is put something in there that is temporarily. A lot of people confuse vacancies and job families. They write the job family as in, hey, we're looking for, no, this is a permanent thing. A job family exists over time and it should always be up to date. So you don't want to put anything in there that is weekly or quarterly, that goals that might change. This should be something that is elementary to the job. And if it's, for example, OKRs, they can be on the OKRs page. You're not going to change it both on the OKRs page and this page. Another thing that we've seen is putting the department goals in there. Department goals, and you can find them on our GitLab KPI index page, that's about 15 goals. When someone asks you, like, how am I going to be successful? You're not going to ask, say, 15 different goals that show whether they're successful or not. They're not going to remember. Mm-hmm. So I think between 3 and 5 goals is probably a good amount. And then you want it as specific. The whole idea is to make it specific for the role. Like, what do you do that other people had that's not a goal of someone else? For example, for the VP of IR, I propose let's make volatility a thing. Like the more volatile our stock, the less good you're apparently doing as a VP of IR, because lots of people are trading our stock.
Fair enough.
But that can be the candidate that we ended up hiring was like, that can be caused by so many things. You're iterating, you're very transparent as a company. There's going to be tons of short sellers that are going to use our transparency against us, and it's going to create tons of noise. I don't want to be, it's not under my control. So we let that off the job description. You might bring it back later on. We can change our mind, but I thought that was a good one. So make it as specific as possible. So that's what I want to use this time for, kind of talk through like what should be the 3 to 5 things that Michelle, as our senior director of channel programs, that you want to be measured on. And Michael, when does Michelle know she's successful in the job?
Yeah, and I think the specific role that we've teed up to talk about is actually one that's going to report to Michelle.
Yeah, because Michelle, you're our VP. So, but I was confused because we're changing it to senior director. So I know sales is one of the few places where we have senior directors without directors reporting to them. So, but it is what it is. Maybe this is not the time for that conversation.
We part of the reason for that change is we anticipate some directors reporting that person relatively soon, and that was part of the annual planning process here that led to that.
Okay, cool.
So if it would help, maybe we should jump into the performance indicators for this specific role, and I'll share my screen real quick. And while I'm doing that, maybe it would be helpful, Michelle, to just give a quick summary of the job itself. This particular role is the Director of Channel Programs and Enablement. So there's both a program element to this and an enablement element. And it might be good to describe the responsibilities for this director and that organization, then we can talk about the metrics.
Sure. This person will be responsible for setting the direction, strategy, and then instantiating it in programs for how we interact with our partners, how we deliver on a value agreement with our partners. They will interface with lots of different other organizations, including IT, operations, services, and so on, to be sure that that face to the partner is programmatized, communicated, and built in such a way that the partner can behave on our behalf in a way that we feel comfortable with and can hold them accountable for. The enablement component, a partner enablement is not just the sales component, it's the sales, it's the pre-sales, it's the technical, it's the interface with product groups. And there's a large programmatic function of how you interface with those groups and make sure it's built in a consumable format that partners can interact with and be held accountable for consuming. And so in the KPIs that we set out, we tried to pick some real key ones that would be able to look at and understand kind of the health of those activities.
So maybe what would be good is, I think, said this is a role that we have 2 challenges initially. One is we need to build the organization, so there's short-term milestones. In the long term, we need to be achieving the objectives of that organization in terms of business results. So we've got both the metrics for the long-term business results and some shorter-term objectives that need to get checked off in the next 90 days as part of the program creation and some of the systems work. But this person is going to be responsible for the community of partners that are successfully contributing to our business. So it's one thing to just sign them. That's not a very useful metric. So what Michelle's done here is been specific. And if we look at the new partners onboarded metric, onboarded really means, yes, they've signed a contract and they're part of the program, but they've also trained and certified all of the required capabilities in their organization. So if there's a certain number of sales specialists that have been trained, a certain number of technical and services delivery specialists that have been trained, that's done. And we've jointly created a business plan. So that joint business plan is, yes, they're not only a partner on paper, we've actually collaborated to figure out how we're actually going to go to market together and build not only GitLab's business, but also the partner's business, because really this has to be very successful for the partner for it to make sense. So this shows that the partner is investing the time and effort in getting certified and compliant with us, but it shows that we're investing the time in them to make sure they're trained and enabled, but we're also collaborating and creating that business plan to go serve their customer base in addition to the GitLab customer.
Yeah, so these look like 3 great goals. This makes sense. Few things, like I would remove the sales KPIs. Like that's too much, like 15 things that are all not specific to the role. That's not why we're doing this. The 3 things you articulate are great. New partners onboarded, That makes sense. Total partner certifications completed. I think this is about the number of people that are certified, or is it about the number of partners?
It's about the number of people, right? So you could have 10 partners onboarded, but
I totally get it. It's just that this doesn't say that. So instead of total, total is a redundant word. So you could say individual certifications at partner completed or something like that. I'm not sure how to word it, but the total word isn't needed, and we need something.
But individual is the right word, because it's the difference between the partner entities versus the number of people out there, which could be two very different views into your success.
It would probably be good to also have these defined elsewhere in the handbook and linked.
Oh, absolutely.
These will all be linked from here to a KPI in the sales KPIs page. They're all brand new KPIs as of this week.
Yeah. So, and they're not KPIs, they're PIs, and we're just fine. So we can do that later. Let's get this right. But yeah, Emily's right. Most of the time you'd link to the relevant part of the handbook for explanation. So I would say individuals certified. Yeah. If you have 4 words for something, people are going to pick 2 random words to refer to the concept. So anytime you can make something shorter, that's better. And then total is not needed. Like individual certified and total individual certified, there's no difference between the two. I hope not.
Because we certify our own teams too, so we'll be specific about partner individuals.
Cool. And partner portal visits per month, that makes sense to me. I wouldn't do percentage growth. Like that's, you're going to set goals for that. Probably it's going to be growing like many things at GitLab, but it's not a useful metric. It's not here where we set goals for people. That can happen in OKRs, that can happen in KPIs, that can happen in many ways, but it's just what does success look like? So if you want to set goals, you can also link to the definition and set a goal there. And the problem, namely, is if multiple people are going to have the same PIs, and if you change the goal, you want to change for everyone at the same time. You don't want to have to visit 16 job families to do so. Great. And then the OKRs, if you want to add the OKRs, I think it's helpful for the candidate, but just don't make it part of the performance indicator. An OKR is not a performance indicator.
Have a different heading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just call it the OKRs.
Or if you want to keep it on we could have it on the application, like on the vacancy, without it being on the job family page.
Yeah, but it's fine.
I think what we probably end up doing is linking to the OKRs page from here, so that it's actually the one same OKR that we're referring to, because that's going to be one of Michelle's team's sub OKRs anyway.
Yeah, so but that might be hard. Anyway, that's not a problem. We're here to solve. We're here to get the performance indicators right. So now all that's left is remove line 38, 39.
We can get rid of that too. There we go.
Cool. Anything else? Michelle, any thoughts?
Let's see here.
No, and I like the idea of keeping that we're talking about performance indicators. I like the idea of keeping the OKRs. These are going to be things that are quite exciting for a candidate to look at. So it'll just reinforce the opportunity as well as set the expectation. And
you might want to add, you might want to use ISO notation in that date and make sure that it's FY21 and people understand that. Otherwise they think, oh, these people at GitLab, they're really planning out really far in advance. And I think both line 37 and 42, you want a space between the header and between the
hashtag and the performance,
the pound symbol, I think.
Yes.
Cool.
Awesome.
Great.
And I think that Michelle mentioned one thing that is important for us to keep in mind is that we're also communicating to the candidates here and making sure that it's clear to the candidates what's important to us. Not only helps them understand the scope of the role, but it also helps them understand the level of investment we're making. When they see the systems work that we want to do, the scope of the program we want to build, that's also communicating that this is this is a meaty role. This is a role that we have high expectations for contribution to the business. And it's something that we're going to be supporting broadly across the business as well.
Cool. I have no further comments.
Awesome. Thank you,
Oh,
Sid.
well, yeah. Thank you for the time.
Welcome. Thanks for coming up with pretty good performance indicators. That's super helpful.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.